Hey, I'm Mason. I'm the programmer and designer of Rhea. So Rhea is a puzzle platformer. However, it does support undo redos. You make a mistake, you fall off a ledge, you can always go back. Try to solve a puzzle, make a mistake, get stuck, you can go back one step, no big deal. So all the puzzles in Rhea are based around color changing. So you notice in this one we can interact with the blue elevator and the blue gate, but we cannot interact with the pink gate, it doesn't let us through. So to solve that problem, we gotta find a way to turn pink. You fiddle around a little bit, and eventually you figure out that this pink orb here, when placed into the lamppost, will make your character pink. Once you're pink, you can't interact with the blue items anymore, but you can with the pink ones. Now, it's worth mentioning that if you were trying out the demo, there is an option to turn on a more colorblind-friendly mode. I have that off right now, but it is available if you need it. And the final game will also use icons to differentiate as well as colors. Anyway, so, moving on a little bit more into the game. Maybe I'll talk a little about the inspiration. The game is heavily inspired by games like Braid and Portal, where they have, a small number of core mechanics that are important to the game. And after learning those, the game is all about learning the surprising interactions between those core mechanics and other mechanics the game introduces that are usually mechanics you've seen in other games. They have this unique twist. In Braid, it's the rewind, and in Portal, it's the portals. But we've seen button puzzles before, circuit puzzles. We've seen platforming challenges and key and lock puzzles. But when you combine those with the unique mechanics of those games, you get very interesting experiences. And so that's what this game is trying to do as well. So in this puzzle here, you see that I can go through this pink gate. I want to go through this blue gate. So I can go ahead and turn myself blue, but now I can't even get to the blue gate anymore. So what's up with that? How do we solve that? Well, let's undo a little bit and figure out how these buttons work. So you push on this button, it kind of seems like it didn't do anything at first, but if you push it and walk away, you notice it leaves a little ghost of you behind. So if you go and push any other button in the world, it will send you back to wherever you left your ghost. So this is essentially a teleporter, but it's a teleporter that can only teleport you to locations that you have already been to. But that's good enough for us. We can use that to solve this puzzle. We leave our ghost over on the right, turn blue, we can teleport back to the right, and then we can move on. So as I do this playthrough, I'm going to kind of switch back and forth between talking through the puzzles as I solve them, and I'm going to be solving them very fast. A normal run would take much longer, but I designed the puzzles, I know the solutions already, and I don't think it's interesting to watch someone pretend to be stuck. But switching gears a little bit, I wanted to talk about the artwork in the game. So I'm not the artist, I can't take credit for the artwork. Carolyn Whitmire did all the artwork and she did an amazing job with it. But it's worth mentioning that the artwork is not done. This first level here is pretty representative of what the final game will look like. There will be some additional polish done, and some more wildlife will be added to the world. But the rest of the levels don't have any artwork in them yet, or they have the foregrounds, but they don't have the backgrounds. So I wanted to kind of take this chance before moving on to the next level to show you a little bit about our process. If I zoom out here, you notice that the whole world is one big image. There's no tiling or repeating assets. Carrie actually builds the whole world in Photoshop, and I import the whole thing into the game. And that's why we don't have complete artwork for the rest of the game yet. We don't build the artwork for the puzzles until the puzzles are locked down and no longer changing. This level has been locked down for a long time. But the other levels are still in flux. So we don't want to build the artwork, because then we're just going to have to redo it every time we do a playtest and have a new opinion on how a puzzle should work. So you notice here we just have this kind of purple collision geometry, just to indicate, how to play the game, what you can interact with, but it doesn't really give off the same vibe that the artwork does. So switching gears back to puzzles, you notice something new here. We have this red rectangle that will eventually be replaced with, some kind of artwork, but for now, it's just a red field, and if you try to walk through it, you notice it destroys your orb. You can't carry orbs through the red fields. So this puzzle is just teaching you, hey, you gotta go around the red field, put the orb in the lamppost, then you're good to go. So you've learned that you cannot take orbs through red fields. Checking on the time. Okay, great. I'm gonna go a little fast in these puzzles, and I might actually eventually, I don't want to make the video too long, I might skip a couple levels, just to make sure I show off kind of the variety of mechanics that are in the game. Before we skip, I'll play through this level a little more and talk more about the overall design of the game. So right now, the demo that I'm showing off, and likely the demo that you're playing, is very linear. You start out in one puzzle, you go to the next, go to the next, go to the next. The final game is going to be a little different. There's going to be a bit of a hub world. So once you get through the first couple levels, you get popped out into the hub world, and from there you'll be able to decide which puzzles to solve. Which biome to go into, and each biome will have a new twist. There might, for example, be a Sokoban biome, or a circuit puzzle biome. We haven't settled on the final list yet. We're still experimenting with different ideas. But there will be the ability to kind of explore a little bit and choose for yourself, which puzzles you're interested in solving first. If you get stuck, you can go work on a different puzzle. Along those lines, I still have some time. I might be able to make it through all the levels. Along those lines, each level is attempting to teach you a new mechanic. So, that first level is teaching you just the foundation of the game. Second level is teaching you about the fields. This level here is teaching you that you can leave orbs on the ground, which is very important. If you go and change your color right away here, you get stuck. You can't get the other orb out. So you have to actually go and get both of the orbs, and then, leave them on the inner area of this puzzle, and then pick them back up later. And the first puzzle isn't too involved, but as you move through the level, it gets gets more and more difficult. It's never expressed to the player that this level is about leaving orbs on the ground, but the player figures it out and has to kind of preempt, or has to look ahead and see, like, where am I going to want that orb to be later. This puzzle here is the first kind of difficult one in the game. It's the one people get stuck on. Because you kind of have to reuse the puzzle elements multiple times, and you really do have to look ahead and plan ahead to successfully navigate the puzzle and reach the end. So I'll run through this, and then I was gonna skip part of this level just to get to the end, but if I want to keep this video around 10 minutes, I got 3 more minutes. I think it's worth showing off some stuff here. I'm gonna breeze through some of it and not explain it too much, just to get to the more exciting stuff. This puzzle here is showing off the white fields, which disable teleporters. And if we go down here, we can jump into the next area. So one more. Well, actually, I guess there's one more of these puzzles about just figuring out where you need to leave an item. And then we'll get to a slightly more involved platformy kind of puzzle, which I think is a little more interesting. In fact, yeah, it's the next puzzle. We're fine. I'll play through this one. So this one's just a little lockbox made out of fields. You got to figure out how to teleport out of the lockbox to grab the orb from the inside. Alright, so here we have a sequence of puzzles that are kind of building up to a more advanced one. I'm going to skip the first couple with no clip in the interest of time. So I'm going to fly through these and get to the more advanced one. So this is the cheat and get to the right color. Okay, so this is the first puzzle where there are many different solutions. So you won't be rewarded for finding the other solutions right now. So I'm not going to demonstrate them. I don't want to give them away. But in the final game, there's going to be a lot of puzzles like these where if you can find a more efficient solution that involves not using all of the items, then you'll be able to get to a secret area. You'll be able to carry an orb out from the end of the puzzle that you're not supposed to be able to carry out, and use that to get to some other area. I really love games like Talos Principle that do things like this, where they reward you for finding ways to kind of break puzzles and just connect puzzles that were seemingly separate experiences. So okay, we didn't have to skip too many puzzles. We skipped through a couple intro puzzles here. I'm just going to bring you to the last level in this demo, which just shows off some physics puzzles. So you can throw the orb, and sometimes, just like the last level, we want to leave an orb somewhere. You want to leave an orb somewhere, but not somewhere you've been. You want to throw it to a place you're going to be in the future. In this puzzle, this level is all about demonstrating that. So here's a more illustrated puzzle up here. So here we want to go through these blue gates and then take that pink elevator. So we can turn ourselves blue, but then we'll be stuck and not able to get in the pink elevator. But we can't carry the orb through that red field, so you think about it a little bit and eventually figure out that you can just throw the orb off that ledge in between the two gates, ride the elevator down, turn blue, walk through the field not carrying an orb, pick up the orb on the other side, and then you are good to go. So since we're at the end of the game, or end of the demo, basically, I'll play through the last couple puzzles. But that's the gist of the game. I think it's definitely worth trying out for yourself. It's currently a little bit difficult to understand what's going on in the game purely by watching someone play through it. We have some ideas about how to solve that. We might be adding some more animations to the game, when you change color and such, just to make it a little clearer what's going on. But right now, it's definitely easier to understand the rules when you're interacting with the system yourself and you have the ability to actually kind of experiment and see what different mechanics result in. But anyway, that is the end of the demo. Thank you for checking out the video of my Indiecade submission. And that is all I got for today. I hope you enjoyed trying it out.